LeBron James takes a flamethrower to his rivals, and then he hits a buzzer beater to beat the Pacers. Will the Lakers or Clippers be a harder out in the postseason? Did Nikola Jokic just throw the dime of the year? There's lots of speculation on KD's future location today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your shot clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories every day with the help of Locked On's local experts. And with me are two of Locked On's premier national NBA experts. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior NBA writer for the Action Network, he's our man of 1,000 podcasts. It's Matt Moore. Matt, I don't know if you know this, but today is National Joe Day. Who is your favorite NBA Joe of all time?
Seven-time All-Star Joe Johnson. He was phenomenal. Arkansas's own. Joe's career from Phoenix to Atlanta to then every other team in the NBA, basically. Joe was like the consummate professional, loved the ball. Joe was the best. Joe was absolutely phenomenal.
ISO Joe, we're going to talk about LeBron's buzzer beater that lifted him to second all-time in NBA history in buzzer beaters, tying him with Kobe Bryant and Joe Johnson. Yeah. Hayes, your favorite Joe?
Joe Johnson as well. I love Joe Johnson. I got to
double
meet Joe Johnson once as a kid. Funny enough, I think I was 17 when I met Joe Johnson. So yeah, Joe Johnson's definitely it.
Hayes, our Prince of Petty from the Locked On Bulls podcast. Welcome to you both, and apologies to Isaiah Joe, to Joe Dumars. If you can think of any more Joes throughout the show, just throw them in. This is a celebration of Joes. But right now, we're going to move from average Joes to King James. LeBron James moved into second place all time on the buzzer beaters list that I just mentioned with a tip in as time expired to beat the Indiana Pacers last night. It was an appropriate ending to a wild back and forth fourth quarter duel. They faced Indiana, good team, chaotic. They tried hard, wanted to win that game. Matt, did this game go beyond March to tell us anything about how the Lakers can win or lose a playoff series coming up in the West?
I think they can lose if they get away from their formula of defense. So late in this game, they benched Jackson Hayes. Hayes didn't have a good game. He was a minus. But what winds up happening, if they don't have, and I mean a lot, of protection for Luka Doncic, he gets targeted and then he gets absolutely destroyed defensively. More so than Nikola Jokic, more so than other players that are one-way offensive players. Luka's absolutely toast. They targeted him on about 5 consecutive possessions and got great looks out of it. If Tyrese Halliburton hits a pull-up wide-open 3 or Miles Turner hits a wide-open corner 3, this game likely does not even go down to that last possession. Indiana pretty much had them and missed open shots they generated because of Luka Doncic. I do not like this 5-out approach, small ball from the Lakers. I think if they go too far in that direction, they'll go home early.
I mean, it was a fun game to watch. I think that's the most important thing. It was a very entertaining game coming out of that. But, I mean, this is a Lakers team that's been struggling recently, and they got to prepare to face my Chicago Bulls tonight, who whooped their butt the last time we faced off against them. So here's the thing. I think, and I've said this many times before, like the Lakers are a team that I'm looking at, all right, what do you need to do to take it to the next step next year? And so this year, I don't expect much from them as far as like going on a deep playoff run. Not to say that I would be extremely surprised if they did. It's just that's not my expectation for this team. They're trying to just do what they can. They have Luka there, they have LeBron there. They're going to be a very talented team, a tough out. But this is a team that has its own struggles, and they haven't really had time to build the roster in a way to overcome some of those struggles, especially with having Luka and LeBron on the team. They'll do that this summer.
LeBron came into that fourth quarter in danger of breaking his streak of double-digit scoring games, but did score 10 in the fourth to finish at 13. He hasn't scored less than 10 in 18 years, dating back to January of 2007. Locked On Lakers, they liked how LeBron and the rest of the team reacted to his low scoring output.
He was phenomenal on the glass. He was I think consistently the best defender the Lakers had on the floor, and he talked after the game, continuing to find ways to impact how to win. This is a lot of the sort of the platitudes you expect from LeBron, except A, it's true. And B, it mattered in this game significantly. They don't win if he doesn't do all the other stuff. Yeah, we're in this game, probably should have been up by more if you're the Lakers. You're thinking this with LeBron sitting on 3 points in the fourth quarter. It shows that they can come up with ways to win, and they can stay in games, and they can compete and do all that stuff without having to lean on LeBron as a scorer. They're going to need it. Most games, I'm not saying 3 points from LeBron after three quarters is ideal. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff you can look back on if you're the Lakers and say, wow, that's good in terms of not having to rely on his scoring.
Matt, what do you think about a low-scoring LeBron James, at least in this instance, being a plus for the Lakers? They're going to need a lot from him, though, in the postseason, right?
I go back and forth on this. Reeves led the team in free throws with 7, tied with Luka. Are you going to get that whistle in the playoffs? Maybe. You're the Lakers. That's what history says. Rui was 4 of 4 from 3-point range. They got 3 of 5 from Dorian Finney-Smith in this game. They got contributions from other guys. Reeves did not have a good offensive game from deep, but was efficient from the field. They do have other guys that can score. If you look at it, though, the offense was better with LeBron on the court. So that they're like that to me is interesting in that LeBron doesn't have to score to impact the game, I think, in measurable or in immeasurable ways. And that, I think, it will help them in the playoffs, because honestly, like, everyone that's like, well, they're going to need this from LeBron. Like, don't count on it. You might get it. You might not. That's what happens when you reach this point in a player's career, is you might get a great performance. You might not. And that they're going to need to be prepared for both outcomes.
Well, he wasn't scoring many points last night, but he was definitely settling scores during an afternoon interview with Pat McAfee on ESPN. LeBron talked about his feud with Stephen A. Smith. He took shots at Brian Windhorst. He gave us some color on his relationship with Michael Jordan. It was a lot, Hayes. They went into a lot of different things. What do you make of the timing of LeBron's appearance and how open he was to discuss these things in front of a national stage?
When people get older, they just don't give a damn. And I think that's the place that LeBron is in, to be 100% honest with you. Like, he just doesn't give a damn. Like, he's going to be honest. He's going to be open, and he's going to tell his side of the story. Was some of it a little crazy? Yeah. I mean, the Windhorst shot was a little unexpected there. But the Stephen A. Smith stuff, I think that was all, I mean, that's been growing and growing. And I don't think it's going to come, because both these guys are very prideful guys. We know that Stephen A. Smith is going to keep talking for as wild himself. But the biggest shot that LeBron took was the post on Instagram after. Did you guys see that?
No.
We posted a video of Stephen A. Smith actually doing boxing training, and then
womp. Yes.
Womp. It was hilarious.
Jeez. The shot at Windhorst, I just want to make this very clear. It wasn't accurate. Like, it just wasn't an accurate description of how Brian Windhorst has done this his entire career. But Windhorst has been covering him since he was at the Akron Beacon Journal when LeBron was in high school. And he has always maintained an honesty about, like, he's never said, like, I'm close with LeBron. LeBron told me. No, it's like he speaks to sources, because that's what a good reporter does. Like, he has covered the man's career. He has a good comprehensive understanding of it by talking to people around him. And if you don't like that, maybe you should talk to the people around you that were willing to talk to Windhorst, and quite honestly, everybody else too. So I thought that shot was uncalled for. The MJ stuff really wasn't, like, what I liked was some of the honesty about the MJ stuff, because we do this thing where it's like, LeBron and MJ, they have a relationship. No, they don't. No, they do not. Charlie Brown did not have hoes. Like, he did not have a relationship with Kobe Bryant. Same deal. Like, there's this fiction that we build up. And I appreciated LeBron being honest about the fact that, like, yeah, I wasn't close with Kobe at all. Like, we were in the LA Olympics, but, like, he was on the West Coast. I was on the East Coast. We didn't play in the finals. Didn't have a relationship. That's how it was. So it was nice to have LeBron actually be honest about that for once, instead of what I consider to be like this retroactive kind of revisionist history that's gone on a lot in people's minds.
Yeah, I think what interested me most about the interview was just how untethered LeBron was. And I know that it was it seemed part of a media strategy to promote the reforming of his podcast with Steve Nash instead of JJ Redick. So there's obvious motivations there, but just how untethered he was about all of this stuff. It also makes me wish that there was a little bit more of this from him or maybe other players and other players. Like as much as the feud between him and Stephen A tickles my lizard brain, I just really wish more players would have rivalries that were more out in the open in media, because to me that makes the actual games that are being played somewhat more entertaining.
Yeah, you don't want to feel the vibe. I just don't understand. I love, this is why I think Giannis doesn't get enough credit. Hayes is like, Giannis is like, we are not friends. We compete. Like that's how this needs to be. And I just want to shout out Giannis for being the way that I think we all want these athletes to be, instead of being like, we're all part of the Millionaires Club. Hello, friend. You want to go do some cardio on the court in front of 10,000 people? Like, I much prefer Giannis's I will kill you vibe.
I like that out of Houston as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to call Houston the bad boys, the new bad boys, but I think they're the you mad boys, because they just like getting under teams' skin. Like they just want to get under your skin, want to annoy you.
It's okay to get under your opponent's skin. They're opponents for a reason.
Amen.
That's right. Coming up, LeBron's tip-in wasn't the only great play last night. Did Nikola Jokic throw the dime of the year? We have more speculation on possible offseason Kevin Durant trade locations and more coming up on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. March Madness, it is in full gear, and I hope your brackets are staying alive. But FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action, whatever the status of your brackets are, like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, the ones that are left. This seems to be somewhat of a scratch year, and even who's cutting down the nets. Got your eye on a big underdog? FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on, and best of all, the FanDuel app is simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com today. Get in on all of the college hoops action all tournament long. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're used to listening to the show, go and watch Matt and Hayes' reactions to some of the crazy stuff that we talk about on this show. There were a lot of great games last night, and I know it's March, but I want more. I'm going to be sad to see the regular season go away. I'm going to be happy that the postseason is here, but I like regular season too. I want more, so let's play Gimme More. Nikola Jokic returned to the Nuggets last night to help them to a closer than it should have been to the win over the Dameless and Giannis-less Bucks. But everyone is talking about the pass Jokic threw to Aaron Gordon, cutting baseline. Jokic with his back kind of to the basket, the angle. It was amazing, Matt. More impressive, Jokic's dime to Aaron Gordon or any other pass you've seen this season?
God, there's been some really good ones. There's so many great passes night to night in the NBA. I think what Shai's had a couple actually. Shai's not a great passer. I'm finding this out doing some film, but some of his passes, when he has a great pass, he has an absolutely ridiculous one. Harden's got some unfathomably good angle ones. Tyrese Halliburton, pretty much every game has about one where I'm like, wow. But God, he did that move. I don't understand. I still don't understand. I was in the building. I had that on. I have no idea what he did. Like he posts, and as he's turning, it's a two-handed shovel pass backwards. We didn't ask him about it after the game. And part of that is because if we did, he would just be like, I don't know, brother. I just saw him past it. Like, he makes it seem so nonchalant. He's so casual with how he does this. It's just like, and it's the placement is always perfect. I don't know how he's able to do that. And he's still pulling off passes like this. It's also great to me to see that because he used to throw insane ones when he was younger. And he had to work some of those out because he's like, yeah, it's going to get picked off. It's just going to be a turnover. But like, he still has some of these every now and then that you're just like, I have never seen anybody in the league do play a move like that. And it's so phenomenal. It's so great. Go watch it.
It was an amazing pass. Jokic, and everything that Jokic does is just like you said, it's just like business as usual. He just really treats this as him just going about his business, doing his job, and moving on. And I respect that so much about him. But everything that went into that pass, I think definitely, like, of course, is there some recency bias? Absolutely. And am I going to look back on it after the season and go back and look at the list of 10 best assists and find 5 that I probably forgot about? Absolutely. But as of right now, that is the best assist on the season.
I'll give you 2. One that I don't think is better, but the narrative was fine, which was the Luka. I don't know if it was his first game with the Lakers, but it was close in that zone where he had just joined the Lakers, and he hit an outlet to LeBron that was like quarterback, wide receiver, way up in the air, huge arc, and just right on the money to LeBron. That was great. And then there was Pajemski for the Warriors had one where he was falling out of bounds, and he just yeets the ball behind his back perfectly to, I don't remember who caught it, but he was on the run in transition for a transition bucket. I think that one's better. I think the LeBron Luka one had some more narrative to it, but that Pajemski one might beat it. Real quick, will Jokic's missed games be the nail in his MVP coffin while we're sitting around this topic, Matt?
It's already dead. It's already over. And the biggest reason is actually not his games missed. It's his defense. This is the worst defensive year I've seen from him since 2019. And like, this is one of the best offensive years we're ever going to see. If we had an offensive player of the year award, there would be nobody else close. Like, it would be Jokic, period, end dot. But like, I will tell you that I was at like, how can we not give it to a guy having a season like this? When I really like dug into everything, I'm just like, no, the defensive gap really is that wide. You have to give it to Shai. So yeah, MVP's done. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's going to win.
Yeah, it's over with. It's done. It's Shai's. He's going to win it this year, and it sucks. Like, Jokic is going to go in there. He now has 2 probably of the all-time great seasons to not end in an MVP, but he's won multiple MVPs. He's going to win more in the future. But yeah, Shai, I think, has this locked in as far as MVP this year.
All right, let's move on. The Clippers beat the Knicks 126-113 to hold, to take over the 6th seed from the Golden State Warriors. Here's Locked On Warriors host Darian Vaziri on the 2 factors lifting the Clippers out of the play-in for the time being.
Kawhi Leonard looking like the best version of himself. As a Clipper fan, is there anything better than that? Like, I loved Lob City more than anybody, or as much as anybody. I mean, exciting brand of ball. But when we talk about like championship hoops, when you see Kawhi with that mid-range magic with the best defenders in the league in his face, and it doesn't even matter, like OG tonight, or Bridges. Bridges is not up there, but OG. And the other night, Mobley against Cleveland. That's the test. Well, we're at that point now, guys. There's a reason we stay in every game. We have a level of defensive resilience that we might have a bad defensive quarter. We might even have a bad defensive half. We rarely, though, have bad defensive games. Rarely. And that's why we've had so few blowouts this season. It feels like we're really in every game. Defense will keep you in games.
Hayes, which team in LA will be more of a harder out in the West playoffs, the LA Clippers or the LA Lakers?
Man, if you can guarantee Kawhi was going to be healthy, I'd say the
full
Clippers,
strength, yeah.
Full strength. I'm going Clippers, and that sucks. That just felt weird in my soul to say that, and I hate saying that. Like, my soul is now uneasy, but I would have to say the Clippers. Like, I really do think they're so sound defensively, and when Kawhi fully healthy and full ready to go, that team has such really, really great balance. Not to say that they're a perfect team or anything, but I can definitely see them being a tougher out. Again, pain right here in the soul.
Okay, I'm firing up the hot take. It's Lakers because Kawhi's a little overblown. He's great. He's awesome. I'm not saying he's not. He's elite. Okay, Hall of Famer, et cetera, et cetera. Look at the titles. 2014, he was a role player who played defense and hit some shots. He was not the best offensive player on that team. The team was led by Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, and Manu Ginobili still. Okay. You go to 2019. All right. Why did they win? Why did they win in 2019? Was it really because of Kawhi Leonard, or was it because of Fred VanVleet going absolutely supernova versus the Bucks, then barely getting by a Sixers team that they should have waxed a lot more and not gone to 7 in the 4 bouncer shot. And then in the finals, they faced the Warriors without Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. Come on. Like, the history of it says, and there's a lot of game 7s. Go back through Kawhi's game 7 career. Go pull those up sometime and take a look at the numbers. The Clippers are really good. But honestly, I don't know if I've seen Ty Lue absolutely mismanage series with how he approaches the tactical matchups and what he chooses to take advantage of. I don't know that they have enough offense. I just don't know if they have enough offense around him. And that's crazy with Norman Powell and James Harden and these guys, and Zoo's playing so great. The defense is elite, no question. But I really don't know if they have enough offense to get past. I'm going to say the Lakers.
Wow, those were hot takes. My vocal cords are on game management right now, or you would have gotten two big off-screen woes. After a 132-102 loss to the Celtics, Sun star Kevin Durant said this about Boston's offense, quote, "When you see that thing hit the net like that from that deep, yeah, you know this is coming. You know what type of team they are. You know what type of league we're in. But it's still a little demoralizing," unquote. So, Matt, more demoralizing right now. Boston's offense, I think they're on a 7-game winning streak, and they are shooting well, or OKC's defense, more demoralizing?
Boston's offense. Now, I will say, like, a lot of this is if you're allowing them to shoot the shots that they get to, like, this is what it gets to so much for me, where it's like you cannot bring help. Do not help your teammate. If he dies, he dies. That has to be your approach, because you cannot help off because they will immediately hit those shooters. And when they're hitting those shooters, you are done. Like, you have to prevent those kind of threes, but it's so hard because of how good they are, because of how talented they are. And so you have to continue to kind of allow them these shots. And when they're going in, it does feel helpless because they're hitting threes while you're scrapping for twos, and the math's just getting away from you. OKC's good, but that's under your control. Don't turn the ball over. Create good offense. With Boston, it does feel sometimes like there's nothing you can do.
I'm going to say the OKC Thunder defense here for the nature of the conversation, because I that defense, when it's so demoralizing, because they just keep throwing waves and waves and waves of player at you that defend. It's like they have like Shai is a great defender, but there's a legitimate conversation to be made that he's probably the 4th or 5th best defender on that team. And that's not a knock on his defense. That's just how good the OKC Thunder can be defensively. And when you no matter what you do that they can adjust to, That's hugely demoralizing for a team, especially I think it's going to be frustrating in playoff series.
So I want to ask you this question, Hayes. Mm-hmm. When you look at this, is a stat that I found that I'm really pretty perplexed by. OKC is decidedly, they are dead last in the number of corner threes they allow. Dead last in the league. They allow the most corner threes in the league this season. 12% of the time via clearing the glass, they get those, and opponents are shooting 14th in the league, pretty average on them. Those are high efficiency shots. Yeah. So to me, like, that's like something that I really have a question about. It's just like, if you're trying to find something where it's like, if you're looking for the question, what's going to be the thing in the playoffs that's different from the regular season for them? I look at that. Those are high leverage shots that guys make in the playoffs a lot of the time. If they do, that OKC defense looks different.
And is that because of their rim denial? Is that just bringing so much help to prevent teams from going in there?
Yeah, and that's why it's really weird, because the Boston games were like this, right? Where it was like, look at what they held the Celtics to, and then you look at the number of threes the Celtics got up, and you're like, what? Right? And so this is really the question of, do you believe the stat wonks who are like 3-point variance is luck and it's random, or can you actually contest them enough with wild, excellent closeouts to actually prevent a percentage that's high enough to kill you? That's a really interesting question for the playoffs, I think, Hayes.
Yeah, especially when you pair into that, and then like the variance, like, because if OKC Thunder isn't also hitting their 3-point shots, that makes it even more of a larger gap. What were you about to say, Doug?
Well, that Matt's no help point on Boston made me think of that Lakers-Pacers game last night, because the Pacers were obviously targeting Luka on defense, and the Lakers weren't bringing much help, but it almost seemed like they were playing a math game, because they were like, we'll give you the Tyrese Halliburton 2 blowing by Luka, but we're not going to give you the 3, and on the other end, we're going to use the attention that you give to Luka to hit a Rui Hachimura 3, and we're going to beat you.
JJ Redick, good buds, and very much an admirer of Joe Mazzulla.
There you go. But is he his friend? That's the question. Does Joe Mazzulla allow himself to have any friends? Maybe, at least we can just say this. He might not be his friend, but at least Joe Mazzulla won't use a coin on him.
There you go.
Not much we could say. All right, coming up, I mentioned Kevin Durant there. We're going to talk more about Kevin Durant's future. We've got some sound from Locked On Heat. They are salivating at the idea of adding Kevin Durant to their lineup. Matt Moore with the eye roll. But we also had an interesting quote on Kevin Durant's future, maybe in Boston. So we'll talk about all of that on the other side. Locked On NBA. Woo! Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. I'm sweating from all of that good ball talk, that in-depth strategy talk that we just did to close that segment. So now we're going to fully shift over into the future player destination speculation mode around Kevin Durant. We still don't know for sure if Phoenix is going to make the play-in or not, but we're getting fairly certain at this point that this is KD's last season with the Suns. Where will he go next? It has Locked On Heat dreaming of scenarios. Let's check that out.
Trade hero for KD before Wiggins this summer.
Okay, it's Kevin Durant, Bam, and Wiggins. Like
that's
Durant
a hell of a
is
front court to me.
It's just it feels like you're not back to the same place because Durant is obviously a superior offensive player than Hero, but there's just still not much offensive juice on that team that I worry about.
I agree. And look, they'd have to find a way once again to fill out the roster, but just look at the way the league is going. Like the Celtics are already like their owner who just sold the team grade came out and said like you can't stay in the second apron. No. Your Bam is going to be making $50 million. KD is going to be making $50 million. You're probably going to have to give KD an extension for a year or two if you sign him. So it's not like the Heat can't go into it, but it's like who do you go into it for? Tyler Hero becomes extension eligible this summer. What do you do if Tyler Hero asks for the max?
All right, to that last point, Hayes, are the Miami Heat stuck between a rock and a hero place with this contract coming up, deciding whether to stick with him and pay him the max or go after a player like Kevin Durant or some other star?
I mean, it's a weird place to be in because the real answer should probably be don't do either. Like if you don't want to play Tyler Hero, don't play Tyler Hero and just go younger. Embrace the fact that you have your draft. You go one pick out to the OKC Thunder. You have your draft picks after that and just actually go through a rebuild. The problem isn't giving Kevin Durant pursuing a Kevin Durant or a Tyler Hero. The problem is Pat Riley and Pat Riley's inability and non-desire to actually just realize that this team needs a whole complete reset and stop trying to piece this together and put tape on it. That's the bigger problem here. Pay whoever you want. It's still, you can only avoid it for so long because it's coming for you, Miami. The rebuild bug is sitting there. The rebuild demon is sitting there looking at you just wondering, hey, how much longer are you going to avoid me?
I just wish they would get outside of the box a little bit. Like, either go find a guy that you think can be a superstar who's in a lesser role and go throw everything you can outside of Bam to get that guy because it's going to cost less than will Kevin Durant. And he's got a longer shelf life. Or go the other direction here and be like, we're willing to trade Bam Adebayo in order to completely reshape this team and try and put something special together. Like if you're willing to clean every single asset that you have out, you could do something wild and pretty much stupid, like going like, let's try and get Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant and put them together. You can try and do that. But like what infuriates me is they're like, no, we're going to keep Bam and we're going to add something because we're in that kind of position because we're the Heat. No, you're not. No, you're not. Like you're going to have to get outside the box. You either have to go gamble on a guy with upside or you're going to have to give up Bam. There is no scenario in which you just add Kevin Durant to Bam Adebayo. That's not going to happen unless Kevin Durant specifically is like there and only there. Maybe that happens. But I'm just, at this point, Miami, you've whiffed so many times. Get the message.
All right, let me add to this Kevin Durant future destination speculation station. This quote from Nick Wright on First Things First. He said this on Tuesday. I'm not Brian Windhorst. I'm not putting my fingers up, but I will say two totally unrelated people, both of whom have reputations for knowing things people don't know, have said to me, watch out for Durant to Boston. Better odds at a surprise KD acquisition, Boston or Miami, Matt?
So Boston was the other team in the Hamptons back when KD hit free agency in 2016. It was the Warriors, the Celtics, and the Thunder. Those are the three teams. He's always had an affinity, right? If he's not going to play for the Lakers, then you want to play for the other iconic franchise, which is the Boston Celtics. The Celtics, to me, if they don't feel like KP, if they feel like they've gotten the best out of KP physically, And I think that they've gotten the best out of Drew Holiday and Al Horford physically. It's time to start rotating out. Now, the question I have is like, does the new ownership group coming in 2028, do they want to risk the kind of ramifications of that in terms of draft capital or whatever else? These are the questions that a sale complicates, Hayes, but like, I will not rule it out. I am not ruling that out whatsoever. If KD likes the idea of finishing his career as a Celtic, I could see that happening.
We live in a world where Luka Doncic was traded to the Lakers. Anything's possible, right? At this point, anything is possible. My initial thought in seeing this was like, no, that's not going to happen. It doesn't make any sense. But then again, I realized the world doesn't make sense. And so, if Kevin Durant wants to go to Boston and wants to win a title and pair with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, cool, great there. I count nothing out. I have some questions on how the fit will work, but it's up for people a lot smarter than me to figure that out. So there you go on that one.
Hayes with real National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Look around you, Helen. We're at the threshold of hell. Energy right there, and I appreciate it.
Speaking of the threshold of hell, a big topic of conversation this week has been group chats. Why? That's not important. Well, it is important, but not for the purposes of this segment. I want to know who Matt and Hayes would put in their group chat and what would they discuss. You can put players, you can put teams, group some folks together in your group chat and tell me what's the topic of discussion. Matt, you're up first.
My first one is people smarter than me. So I would put in there Malcolm Brogdon. I would put in there Jaylen Brown. I would put in there Brook Lopez. There are a handful of other players they are genius level players. Like these guys would have been wildly successful in any environment that they put into. They just so happen to have gotten the athletic talent to make the money that the NBA affords, and they will go on to do absolutely incredible things. And I would just love to be in a group chat to learn things from them, like the stuff that they would send over. The other one I think would be called anti-furry. And what it would be is a group of players that hate mascots. So we got Brook Lopez, we got Russell Westbrook, we got all the guys that mess with the mascots, and they're just sending back memes and videos of mascot violence. And that to me would be an enjoyable group chat to be in.
All right, I love that one. Hayes, what do you got?
My group chat is called Complete Chaos because I'm putting Nico Harrison, Luka Doncic, Stephen A. Smith, and LeBron James, and just for ish and giggles, Joakim Noah as the instigator in a group chat. There you go.
Hollywood is
I would expect nothing. I would expect nothing less from our Prince of Petty to throw all of those guys into a conversation together. That's amazing. All right, if you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks so much for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Thanks to Matt and Hayes for their expertise. Enjoy tonight's action. Be kind to each other. We're going to see you right back here to wrap up the week with our favorite things on Locked On NBA.